This is your WLAK Daily News Roundup for Lake Air, 107.5 FM and 1260 AM in Amory.
Civic Media News. I'm Terry Bell. Here's what Wisconsin needs to know. 11 employees at the state prison in Waupun have been suspended as part of a federal investigation into alleged smuggling at the lockup. That's according to Governor Evers' office. The U.S. Justice Department says it doesn't comment on possible investigations. Evers' spokesman says the administration asked the feds last summer to look into how prisoners were able to get everything from cell phones to illegal drugs. Wisconsin Congressman Derek Van Orden says it was he who shouted lies during President Biden's State of the Union speech last night.
My predecessor failed the most basic presidential duty that he owes to American people, the duty to care. I think that's unforgivable.
The Republican tells the Journal Sentinel it's a lie to say former President Donald Trump doesn't care about the American people. One Wisconsin voter says she's more interested in policy than politics. Diane Valencia of Racine says she wanted to hear President Biden deliver straight talk about the State of the Union last night.
I expect a responsible person in a political position to give me facts and explain to me, as a nation, what are we supposed to do to make things possible.
Valencia says she was interested in hearing what the bipartisan infrastructure law is doing for her community. A Wisconsin congressman is pushing to force a Chinese tech company to sell TikTok. The U.S. House is expected to vote next week. Republican Mike Gallagher says he's concerned the popular social media app will drive election year misinformation. More than 170 million Americans use TikTok. The mother of a missing toddler from Two Rivers now faces new child neglect charges. Katrina Bauer is now accused of leaving a 6-year-old in a car for about an hour in below freezing temperatures in February. Bauer is already charged with neglecting 3-year-old Elijah Vu, who's been the subject of a 2.5-week-long search. People who fell into bad eating habits during the pandemic are trying to do better. Bailey Holmquist is a registered dietitian who recommends cutting out processed proteins.
If we can get good grass-fed meat, pasture-raised eggs, wild-caught fish, so that we get the most nutrients out of those animals.
Holmquist says beans and peanut butter are good alternatives that cost less and are easier to find. March is National Nutrition Month. I'm Terry Bell, Civic Media News. Now here's what you need to know closer to home.
For WLAK News, I'm James Kelly. A new program aimed to help homeless youth in the eastern Minnesota area is underway. According to a WDIO report, the United Way of Carlton and Pine County area has introduced a program to match volunteer hosts with homeless kids who need a safe and stable environment. The organization also has a new resource center where kids can eat, shower, and get a go bag to carry their belongings. Officials say at least 5% of the students in Carlton County are considered homeless, and this program is crucial for them. Some Duluth residents are getting closer to having the lead pipes in their area replaced. According to a Northern News Now report, the Duluth City Council is looking to replace all of the lead pipes in the lower West Lincoln Park and Gary New Duluth neighborhoods. Those areas should receive about $3.5 million each to replace the lead pipes, and the project would bring safe drinking water to nearly 400 homes in the area. The city is still looking for other areas that need lead pipes replaced. The unusual winter could cause some unexpected issues for fishing enthusiasts this year. According to the Department of Natural Resources, the warmer-than-average temperatures this winter are causing popular fishing spots to melt about 2 weeks sooner than they would otherwise. The atypical melting has officials believing that fish like bluegills and crappies will be abundant this year, but it may come at the cost of an abundance of salmon, walleye, and trout. Officials recommend catching and releasing more of those fish. Reports of a person with a gun led to a large police presence in downtown Duluth on Thursday. According to the Duluth Police Department, officers responded to a call about a person with a gun around 3 p.m. on Thursday in the area of First Avenue near Chum. When police arrived on the scene, the suspect fled the area on foot and law enforcement officials were not able to question him. Nobody was reported injured during the incident, and the Duluth Police Department is actively searching for the suspect. A Barron County man has been sentenced on charges of possession of child pornography and child sexual exploitation. 25-year-old Derek Saluski of Osceola was sentenced to 9 years in prison and 3 years of extended supervision after being found guilty of the charges on December 14th. Saluski was arrested after law enforcement officials seized his phone. A search of the phone showed Saluski had thousands of photos and videos of child sexual assault material and child pornography. A number of teachers at the Superior School District have been informed their positions are being eliminated. According to a Fox 21 report, potential layoffs was something employees had expected as the school district faces budget constraints. Superintendent of the Superior School District, Amy Starzecki, cited an end in COVID relief funds, state funding not keeping pace with inflation, and declining enrollment as the major causes behind the layoffs. In total, 25 teachers have been laid off amid the district's 2024-2025 budget deficit. The Visit Duluth tourism program has been bestowed with an award for its marketing. According to a Northern News Now report, Visit Duluth's leisure tourism marketing program won the Creating a Welcoming Experience Award at a recent statewide tourism conference. Officials say the city's tourism program set a record for tax collection in 2023, outpacing pre-pandemic levels by nearly 19%. The award is given to an organization that creates a welcoming experience for visitors through inclusivity. The Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources is looking for bear hunters to join their Learn to Hunt Bear program. According to a press release, the DNR is looking for both experienced and novice bear hunters for the educational program that will include both classroom and field sessions. At the conclusion of the program, participants will also get to take part in a bear hunting excursion. The DNR is encouraging anyone who has received a bear harvest authorization to apply. Applications must be submitted by May 1st. And that's what you need to know. For WLAK News, I'm James Kelly.
It is going to be cloudy with a few sprinkles this morning, gradually becoming partly cloudy by later this afternoon. Our high today, 45, with wind out of the north at 5 to 15. Clear tonight, 25 tomorrow, sunny, a little cooler, 41 for a high. Sunday, 47 by Monday, partly cloudy with a high back to 60. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable. Currently, it's 23.
The Badgers blanked Rutgers. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. Men's college basketball, the Wisconsin Badgers with a much-needed win at home. They held on to beat Rutgers 78-66. A.J. Storr had 19 points, but Greg Gard says the key was the return of Kamari McGee and the spark he added after missing 6 weeks with a foot injury.
He brings a toughness to us that we lacked. I always say I need more pit bulls, less poodles. So he's a pit bull.
So Wisconsin faces the number 3 Boilermakers Sunday at 12:30 at Purdue. The Girls State High School basketball tournament continues. The finals tomorrow at the Resch Center in Green Bay. Baseball, the Brewers with an 8-2 win over the Chicago White Sox in Arizona. Inside the clubhouse, manager Pat Murphy says he's been impressed with the progress of right-handed pitcher Colin Ray.
This kid found himself with the help of Woody and obviously Wade. They've built this friendship that's really special, and to see his confidence grow is just, it's incredible, man.
It's the Wisconsin men's hockey team against Ohio State tonight and tomorrow in Madison. Badgers head coach Mike Hastings says the last time they faced the Buckeyes, Ohio State won.
They're really good hockey players. And it was a series that we learned from. But you've got to tip your hat to Ohio State because that was a weekend that they didn't do it to us once. They did it twice. So, we learned a lot from that weekend, and hopefully we can apply that this weekend.
The Badgers women's hockey team in Minneapolis to face Minnesota in the final face-off tourney. The Badgers' Kirsten Sims named the WCHA Player of the Year. NFL free agency starts next week. Packers defensive lineman Kenny Clark on the Matt Rampage Show talked about what last year's young team was like during that 4-game losing streak.
Throughout all the ups and downs, we stayed together as a team. Coach LaFleur just bringing us together as a team and keeping us together as a team. I just give him a lot of credit with that.
As Packers defensive end Kenny Clark. With sports, I'm Mike Clemens.
I'm Pete with the 60-second Showbiz Beat. In boy band reunion news, both NSYNC and the New Kids on the Block are putting out new music. Justin Timberlake announced NSYNC is working on a couple new tracks. The New Kids on the Block are releasing an album, their first since 2013, on May 17th, called Still Kids. I hope still doesn't mean they won't be dancing. This is good news. If there's one thing America is lacking currently, it's middle-aged men moonwalking in myrtles. Dune 2 crushed at the box office last weekend, but what a whole lot of people don't know is that there was a very interesting sneak peek a month and a half ago. Director Denis Villeneuve showed a cut of the film to a dying man in palliative care whose last wish was to see the Dune sequel before he died. The man and a friend watched the film on the director's laptop, which an assistant hand-delivered for the sake of secrecy. In a Facebook post, the director's wife, Tanya LaPointe, also an executive producer on the film, posted, "It's precisely for him that we make films." Great story. Crooning legend Steve Lawrence has passed away at the age of 88. Lawrence and his wife Edie Gourmet were partners in marriage and on stage for over 50 years. Lawrence had a successful stage career and starred in movies and TV. He had numerous top 10 hits. The Hollywood Reporter says the Grammy and Emmy-winning Lawrence passed away in Los Angeles after a long bout with Alzheimer's. Get ready for another hot young person reboot. Fox has announced it's in the process of developing Farmer Wants a Lifeguard, Baywatch. Even though I think the title pretty much says it all, they've included a lengthy tagline that goes something like this. Daring ocean rescues, pristine beaches, and iconic red bathing suits are back, along with a whole new generation of Baywatch lifeguards who navigate complicated, messy personal lives in this action-packed reboot that demonstrates there's the average-looking family you're born into and the hot family you find. I took some liberties, but you get the point. Can a dog be depressed when its owners break up? A new rom-com tentatively called Merv will explore the topic. Amazon MGM Studios have just announced they've signed Zooey Deschanel for the lead role of the Jessica Swale-directed film. I can't imagine how this will be entertaining, but the plot sees a couple break up and then reconcile awkwardly to take their pooch on a trip to sunny Florida to lift his spirits. Can you imagine being so depressed you don't want your belly scratched? Oh, and spoiler alert, it's the dog's fault. Taylor Swift is certainly nothing if not original. Not only does she write her own songs, she makes her own Pop-Tarts. Great way to save pennies. In fact, Pop-Tarts actually wants the recipe for Taylor's tarts. During the NFL season, Swift made a batch of her homemade sweets and gave them to the Kansas City Chiefs offensive line. In a related story, Kanye West says Beyonce's Pop-Tarts are better, even though she doesn't make them herself. For more showbiz fun, tune into Nightlight with me, Pete Schwaba, every night between 7 and 9 p.m. on the Civic Media Radio Network.
That's your WLAK Daily News Roundup from Civic Media. Subscribe to this podcast on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you find your podcasts. Find more news at lakeair.radio.